Hi guys, in this second video of the series, we're going to see how to derive the LDA model using the Variational Inference approach. Let's get to it. We finished the last video showing that we can't derive the posterior analytically due to its being intractable, mostly due to the sum over z. We said there are two approaches we can take, either use Variational Inference or use MC-MC. In this video, we're going to explore the Variational Inference approach, and in the next one, we'll explore the MC-MC approach. We'll start with a short clarification. The original paper by Bly and Associates had initially used some simplified approach called Variational EM. They broke down the process to two parts. In the first part, they treated beta as fixed and used VI to find the thetas and the z's. And in the second, they treated theta and z's as fixed and maximized the elbow to find the betas and also the alphas, that is, the parameters of the distribution of theta. But this created a problem for them when it came to new documents with words not appearing in the original corpus. This method would give these words zero probability, which would break the algorithm. What is usually done in such cases is to add a small probability to all words, even if they were not encountered in the corpus. This is referred to as Laplace smoothing. It was justified from a probabilistic perspective as the mode, or MAP, of a regular Dirichlet distribution, but R posterior is not a simple Dirichlet anymore. Still, this can be done in practice. What they decided to do instead is place a Dirichlet prior on the beta, which is how I defined the model in the first place. Also, in their derivation and most implementations, the eta parameters are equal. Alpha and eta can still be optimized by their variational EM approach, but I won't get into that in this video. If you're interested, you can read the relevant papers, which I will link in the description of the video. The idea of VI is rather simple. We approximate a complex distribution with a simpler distribution, referred to as the variational distribution. And we tweak the parameters of this new distribution until it resembles the complex distribution. Our variational distribution is denoted by Q and is equal to this. These distributions are Dirichlet, and these are categorical. You might wonder, what's the difference between P and Q? Did we just replace the name of the parameters? Well, no. The new distribution is simpler because there's no coupling between parameters. That is, the z's are not dependent on the thetas anymore, and the betas are also not coupled with the z's and the w's, that is, the data. Also, we have more phi parameters. Because z is no longer dependent on theta, we can place a new distribution per each word, and this will give us more flexibility to model the distributions. Because there's no coupling, we also don't have a hard-to-compute normalizing constant. If we take the integral of q with all parameters, each part will separate, and so the integral will simply be equal to 1. Here is a pictorial representation of what we're doing. We're tweaking the variational parameters such that this new distribution is as close as possible in our limited Q space to the real posterior distribution. That is why VI is an approximation method, because our simpler distribution usually won't manage to get exactly the posterior. But if it gets close enough, it can be a good enough approximation for our purposes. The way we measure distance between two distributions is usually through the KL divergence. But the full KL divergence also requires the evidence, that is the intractable denominator, or the normalizing constant. So instead, in VI, we optimize only the part of the KL that doesn't require the normalizing constant. That part, times -1, is called the elbow, which stands for the evidence lower bound. And so maximizing the elbow is the same as minimizing the KL. The elbow is defined as the expectation with regards to the variational distribution of the log of the unnormalized posterior, or the numerator of the posterior, denoted here by p tilde, minus the expectation of the log variational distribution, which is also called the entropy. Let's develop the elbow. We plug in the numerator and get this first row for the first term. We plug in the variational distribution and get this second row for the second term. The expectation of a sum is equal to the sum of expectations, so we get this. We now can replace each term with the actual distribution it represents. So the first and second terms are Dirichlet distributions, and we get this. The third and fourth terms are categorical distributions, and so are equal to this. Likewise, for the variational Dirichlet distribution, we get this and this. And for the categorical distribution, we get this. Now we're going to optimize the elbow with regards to the variational parameters, which means we can ignore any term that doesn't contain them. But we'll also need to keep the expectations of the posterior parameters theta, beta, or z, because their expectations will contain the variational parameters as well. Also, remember we assume independence between all the variables in the variational distribution. In VIs, this is called the mean field assumption. So for example, this expectation can be broken down to this product, and finally to this. Finally, we can calculate the expectation of the log xi when x is distributed Dirichlet to be equal to this expression, where psi is the digamma function. The digamma function for our positive real line purposes is very similar to the natural log function. Doing that, we can replace the relevant expectation terms with these. Note that only the relevant part of the distribution is taken into account. That is, when calculating this expression, all the other variational distributions can be factored out, and then their integral will be equal to 1. We thus can write the elbow as approximately, up to a constant, like this. Now it's time to optimize the elbow. We'll take the derivative with regards to each one of our variational parameters. Let's start with the gammas. Since we place different gammas per document, we can ignore the sums over document. Also, these -1s cancel each other. Grouping relevant terms, we end up with this. If we take the derivative, we get the following expression. Notice that the last two terms cancel each other. And so finally, we are left with this. We equate this to 0, and one obvious way this expression will be equal to 0 is if we set each gamma dk to be equal to alpha k plus the sum of the phis over n. I hope this makes intuitive sense. The alpha k is the prior we set to that specific topic, and the sum of the phis in a certain document is how much probability we give to the kth topic in the D document, summing over all words probabilities. Anyway, it can also be proven that this solution is indeed a maximum. I leave it for you guys as a challenge. Let's move on to the lambdas. These are the relevant terms in the elbow. Again, since we have different parameters per k, we can ignore the sum over k's. And again, these -1s cancel each other. We end up with this. Remember that we assume eta is fixed and equal for all words. It's a simplified assumption, but not a very crucial one. Taking the derivative, we get this expression. Again, the last two terms cancel. Equating to 0, we find that one obvious solution is to set the lambdas equal to eta plus the sum of the phis for all words in all documents. Again, I hope this makes some intuitive sense. The eta is the prior, and the sum is how much probability we give to a certain topic word combination across the entire corpus. And again, this can be proven to be a maximum point, and I leave it for you viewers to do by yourself. Finally, let's focus on the phis. These are the relevant terms. Since we have different phis per each word, we can ignore the sum over d and n. We are left with this. Since there is a constraint that the phis must sum up to 1 when summing over the k's, we add the Lagrange multiplier. We take the derivative of a specific topic k and end up with these. Notice that the first turquoise term is actually the expectation of log theta dk, and that in the second blue term, only one w won't be 0 since w dn is a 1-0 vector. Suppose it's the w associated with the word v prime. So this will be equal to the expectation of log beta of topic k and word v prime. We equate to 0 and get that phi is proportional to e to the power of these terms. The Lagrange multiplier -1 essentially acts as a normalizing constant, making sure that the sum is indeed equal to 1. We get this in practice by dividing these expressions by their sum over k. Notice that the phis don't really depend on n, but rather on the specific word v prime associated with that n. This is due to our bag of words assumption. We don't care about the ordering of words. So the same word in a document will have the same phi. We can write the phis instead of depending on the n's to depend on the v's, and then we get rid of the sum over v here. But also for the gamma and lambda updates, notice that the sums of phis can be written to only depend on the count of the number of times a word v appeared in a certain document, which we can denote by c of dv. So we can rewrite the gamma updates as follows. Instead of summing over each word in a document, we can sum over all the words in a dictionary multiplying by their count in a specific document. Likewise, for the lambdas, this sum of w times phi is actually equal to the number of times a certain word v appeared in the document times the corresponding phi. So the final update rules can be written as follows. These are the formulas we will use in the code implementation. Once we found the optimal variational parameters, we get a distribution over our parameters of interest. But what we'll usually do is use the means of these distributions as our estimates for the parameters. For implementing an algorithm, we could simply run each update rule on its own. But in practice, what is being done is dividing the updates to local and global updates. The local step updates the gammas and the phis. This is done for each document. And the global step updates the lambdas. This is done for the entire corpus. On the right, you can see the algorithm as it was presented by a paper from Hoffman and Associates in 2010. The only difference here is that they used n and w instead of c and v, and also that they have a constant symmetric alpha. Also, they found the algorithm works better if you reinitialize the gammas and phis in the beginning of every global iteration. Now, this algorithm estimates the parameters for the training data, but what happens in test time when there's a new document we wish to label? How do we handle that? Well, the solution is simple. We don't change the beta estimates, but we refeed the theta for these specific inference time documents, and we update their phis accordingly. Now let's implement this algorithm in code. In case you forgot from the previous video, we loaded some dependencies and defined a plot function to print the top words per topic. Our data comprises of around 18,000 newsgroup posts on 20 topics. We've cleaned the data a bit and split it into train and test. This is an example of a clean document text. We can see it talks mostly about bikes. We've also used a count vectorizer, which transforms the corpus into a sparse matrix representation of capital D documents and capital V word tokens, where each cell in the matrix counts how many times each word appeared in a document. This is our compact bag of words representation of the data. Our training data is a sparse matrix of around 15,000 rows and 5,000 columns, with counts of how much each word appeared in each document. We've defined the number of topics to be 20. We're going to also need the digamma function, so we load it from SciPy. For simplicity, we're going to set symmetric values for both alpha and eta, and we'll initiate the lambda and gamma variational parameters with random positive values. We're going to implement the algorithm. We'll set the number of local iterations to 10 and the global to 20. In each global iteration, we'll compute E log of beta using the last round lambdas. Now we're going to reset the lambdas so the accumulation won't explode. Then, for each document, we'll calculate the word counts. We'll initialize gamma to be alpha plus an equal distribution of words across all topics. Now we'll do the local updates. We'll calculate E log theta and then use both it and E log beta to calculate the phis. Notice we are using broadcasting here. The first term is only one-dimensional of length k, but the second term is k over vd, where vd is the length of unique words in document D. We normalize the phis and calculate the gamma. When we finish with the inner loop, we update gamma and then update lambda. Once we finish going over the entire corpus, we update the lambda for the next global iteration. Once the algorithm finished, we can calculate the beta means and print the top words for each topic. We see that topic 4 looks like Christianity, topic 6 looks like space, and topic 19 like motor vehicles. We'll remind ourselves what a random document looks like, and now we can manually calculate also the gamma means for it, and print the distribution of topics. We see that topic 19, which was what we labeled as motor vehicles, is the most probable, which also fits what the document really seems to be about. Finally, we can also do inference. We create a gamma vector for the test documents. The only real change is that we don't update the lambdas and we only run the inner loops for the test documents. Here's an example of such document, and we can see it talks about Christianity. If we now calculate the topic distribution for this document, we see indeed the most likely topic is topic 4, which we labeled as Christianity. So I hope now you have a strong understanding of how the VI version of LDA works. In the next video, we'll understand the MCMC version and implement it as well. See you there.